I need to sell £50,000 worth of rare books this week. This is my biggest challenge yet, and the stakes have never been higher. I've managed £4,000, £6,000 and even £13,000 in challenge weeks previously, but never £50,000. But in the last few months, I've spent a lot of money on books, exhibited at expensive book fairs, and signed a lease on a new office, so it's really important we can make these sales. So this week, we'll process as many books as we can, get them in front of as many people as possible, take them to a book fair, and hopefully we'll get over the line. So the first job for today is getting as many books as possible ready for sale. That means checking over them, cataloguing them or describing them, and photographing them so they can go on the website. There's about 100 books in total to work through, but with the sad passing of Pope Francis over the weekend, I'm inclined to start with 2 books from the libraries of previous popes. This is a book from the library of Pope Clement XIII. And this is from 1758, which is the year that he became Pope. And I also have this book, which is from the 19th century, bound with the arms of Pope Leo XII. I then worked through lots more books, including other books bound for popes, princes and princesses, and books with fascinating provenance trails found inside them. This morning's research and cataloguing and discoveries have put us in a really good position to hopefully start selling some books. But what we have in here should get us off to the races right away, because in this folder we have not 1, but 2 signed letters by J.R.R. Tolkien. They were written to an American editor who had commissioned him to write an essay on the fantasy author George MacDonald, who was a great influence on C.S. Lewis and who Tolkien had earlier written was a great influence on him as well. And so in the first letter, we have Tolkien saying some very interesting things, both about George MacDonald and about on fairy stories. But the importance of these letters and their significance really comes when you marry them together and you get the second, because in the second letter, Tolkien reveals that he's unable to write about George MacDonald because his feelings about him as an author and a writer of fairy stories have changed. So they are both important letters giving us real insight into Tolkien's thoughts and inspirations. And I think I may have someone who will get just as excited about them as I just have. So I'm going to send some details over to them now, and hopefully that will be our first sale of the week and get us off to the races. So I've just had some lunch and we can finally start eating into that whopping £50,000 target that's sat in one of these top corners, I imagine, because we've had some sales. Now the first one, totally unexpected in that nothing's prompted it. Someone just saw it on our website and decided to buy it. But it's one of my favourite, more modern Tolkien books. It comes in this original beautiful box, and this is the super deluxe edition of The Legend of Sigurd and Gudrun, which was edited by Christopher Tolkien. And this is one of 500 copies signed by Christopher Tolkien. So that's an incredibly special book that we'll be sending off to its new home momentarily. And also really pleased to report that the person I offered the Tolkien letters to that I showed you earlier, and the copy of Tree and Leaf that was owned by the editor to whom Tolkien addressed these letters, has sold as well. And they're all quite valuable. So even though it's sort of 2 transactions, it adds up to £17,950, which is obviously putting us in a really good place at the start of the week to get towards our target. And I know that's an awful lot of money, but I don't own many very expensive items of inventory. So if we are going to reach that target, we can't rely on just 1 or 2 things of a similar value selling. We've got to make lots and lots of sales across the different price points. So that'll be what we're focusing on this afternoon. Once these are packed up, we're going to photograph a bunch of books, maybe make a little bit of content as well, and get them up to the website. So those are those orders packed up and sent out. But as I said, we can't rest on our laurels because we need to sell a lot more books this week to hit our target. So I've just set up our lighting for photography, and you can get a little glimpse behind the camera here. Camera's ready to go, and we have some books on the table ready to photograph. Basically, all the books in this bookcase here need to be photographed, and there's some others that have made their way into our kind of general stock that need photographing as well. So that will probably be the rest of today, working through those, and if there's any news, any sales to report, I'll update you on here, and if not, I'll see you in the morning. Good morning. So it's Wednesday morning and not really the start I expected. I'm distracted by a little side quest today. I'm driving down to Lewes near Brighton because I need to pick up some furniture for a new office that we're moving into in a couple of weeks. So that's really going to set us back on the book selling front because it's going to be about 2 hours there, 2 hours back. I'm about halfway there now. It's still first thing in the morning. So I'm hoping to be back in the office by lunchtime, and hopefully that will mean we can drum up some sales. So I haven't checked in with you guys all day, and it's now 6:20. So I need to be heading home. It's been one of those really frustrating days where I just haven't really been able to get in the groove because there's been too many sort of other things that have come up during the day. So I went down to Lewes near Brighton, did the pickup, um, got back to the office around lunchtime, 1 o'clock, 1:30, and then just was battling a sort of full inbox of boring admin that I guess like needs to be done, but doesn't actually, ultimately doesn't make us any money. So I've just finished photographing all the books, mainly these ones behind me here, and a few from the other bookcase that hadn't been photographed. So I think it's time to go home now. I'll try and get those photographs processed so they can go up to the website. And then hopefully that means tomorrow we can get all the books on the website and hopefully an email out to try and promote these books, which will give us a chance, hopefully tomorrow, of selling them. But right now I'm checking out and no more sales today. And, because of the bank holiday, we're running out of time with this challenge. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. I probably got another few hours of work tonight. So if there's any updates tonight, you'll hear them from me. Otherwise, I'll see you in the morning. Good morning. So it's, let's get in the car. Thursday morning, and things aren't looking great for our challenge. Still no sales. So no sales yesterday. It's actually quite late now. It's 9:45. I had to drop my daughter off this morning and then go and see my bookbinder. So Rufus and I are only now really getting ready to go to the office. We'll have a couple hours in the office, and then we've got lunch in Oxford with the great book historian Adam Smythe, author of The Bookmakers. So very much looking forward to that. But it does mean that on the sales front, we're possibly struggling. I don't know if you guys can see as well, but oh god, it is really quite clear on camera. I think I've broken my nose. I got injured at football this week, so yeah, not going well, but we've got time. And always the reassuring thing in these challenges is, do we have good books to sell? Yes, we absolutely have amazing books in stock. So we can get out of this. I still have hope, but the only thing that's not on our side is time. So I'm going to get to the office. We're going to get to work. We're going to see what we can get up to the website this morning before lunch. And then hopefully after lunch, this afternoon, this evening, we can get some things onto the website and offered to people. And hopefully that'll lead to some sales. We've just got back from lunch in Oxford and I'm working through the last of these photos to try and get things up onto the website. Sienna's here as well today. You haven't seen her so far this in this video, but Sienna, what are you working on over here?
So I'm cataloging a book of hours and I'm just going through and identifying which texts are inside.
Nice. So that probably won't be ready to sell this week, but it will be at a book fair that is coming up in London in a couple of weeks' time. So you'll see more of that soon. And in the meantime, I'll finish getting these books onto the website. So hopefully we can drum up a few sales this evening to add to our tally, because tomorrow's Friday and we'll be getting ready for the book fair then. So let's try and get this done now. Good evening. It's a last check-in for the day and it's becoming a theme, but it's not a check-in with sales, but it is a check-in with progress. So now I'm very pleased to say I do have a website that has 50 new items on it for people to get stuck into. Some really, really beautiful things. Lots of those paper bindings, some lovely signed books, first editions, early printed books, all of these royal bindings of different types. But that's probably the most beautiful book I currently own. The Bodoni Press Anacreon in Quarto from 1785. And that's the Earl of Cromer's copy in a beautiful binding. So it's been a long day. It's now, whatever that is, 11:30 at night. It's been a bit of a stressful evening because my daughter is sick, which isn't helping. Well, I mean, it's pretty awful in general, but it has meant that I only started work for the evening about sort of half an hour ago, and I don't know what the night's going to bring. So you will see what survives of me tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow we can get an email out, which will hopefully sell some of these books, get us close to our target, and also we'll be preparing for the Oxford Book Fair. So picking our books for that, getting ready, so that hopefully with the email tomorrow and the Oxford Book Fair Saturday and Sunday, we can get that momentum back and get somewhere close to our goal. So it's now Friday morning, and I'm pleased to say that late night web upload worked, because almost immediately after I posted it, 2 orders came in. So one order was for this first edition of Graham Greene's Our Man in Havana, and they also picked up this first edition of In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. And then we also sold one of our royal bindings. So this is a book bound for and with the arms of King Louis the 16th, who of course was the last French king before the revolution, and met his unsavory end shortly after that book was bound. So quite fun, I suppose. And the rest of those books we're now ready to tell people about in this email that we've put together. So we'll pop that out now. It also acts as a bit of a teaser for the books we're going to have at the Oxford Book Fair this weekend. So we'll send that out, and if that leads to any more orders, I'll let you know. But the sales that have come in first thing this morning add £785 to our tally. So after a couple of ducks, a couple of nil days, we're back moving in the right direction. So that email has started to work, I'm pleased to say, and we've got 3 orders that have come in off the back of it, and you can see behind me here are books ready to go for the Oxford Fair tomorrow. So in terms of sales, we've got this copy of the first edition of Donna Tartt's The Secret History that's inscribed by her. we've got this beautifully bound copy of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, and that's bound by Maclehose of Glasgow in this stunning red Morocco binding. And then this is comfortably one of the most beautiful things we have in stock, a beautiful illuminated initial. This is a 15th century, or from a 15th century, probably an antiphonal from Italy. Absolutely stunning. And that's going off to its new home shortly. So what does that do for our total? Well, it adds another £1,745 to the tally, which takes us just over £2,500 for today. So still quite a long way to go in terms of sales, but really, really good progress. And they just came in the last sort of half an hour after the email. So hoping for more later on, and I'll update you if and when they come. Final check-in of the day. It's just about 6:30 here, and we are pretty much ready for the Oxford Book Fair tomorrow. I've just got the last trunk of books behind me to take down to the car. But we have had 2 more orders, one for 3 of Andrew and Leonora Lang's storybooks. We've got the animal storybook, the all sorts of storybook, and the true storybook, which add just under £500 to our tally. And then over here we have that a good friend and customer has just ordered a first edition of The Children of Huron that is signed by Alan Lee. So between those two together, it's just under £700 that we can add to the tally. So it's been a productive day. We've done, well, a little over £3,000 for the day now. We're still quite a long way off our target, but here's hoping that Oxford tomorrow brings the prospect of more sales. So I'll see you then. Good morning. So it's 7 a.m. I'm just about to leave here for the Oxford Book Fair, but we've had 2 orders come in overnight, or I think 2 orders. We sold the works of Pope Leo the Great from our website, and then I've had a cryptic message that I think is an order for our copy of Lord Byron's Childe Harold's Pilgrimage in a royal binding of the Prince of Piombino. So if those are both orders, then that would add £870 to our tally, and that gets us off to a really good start on Saturday. So I'm going to leave now, drive over to Oxford, then get set up for the book fair, and I'll pick up with you guys there. Good evening. So as you might be able to tell from my background, I'm not in Oxford anymore. I'm in London. I was at the book fair this morning for setup and for sort of the first half hour of the fair. And then I've come into London to give a lecture to the AGM of designer bookbinders, which was great fun. I've just finished that now and just had my report from Sienna on how we've got on with the rest of the book fair. So here goes. We sold a stunning copy of like a sort of Anglo-Saxon liturgy that was in a rare publisher's leather binding. We sold a beautiful Scottish manuscript of the Lion Register of all the coats of arms of Scotland that was owned by the person who founded the Knights Templar in Scotland. So that was pretty cool. And I think 2 other things, but I might not be remembering everything. A P.G. Woodhouse first edition, Stiff Upper Lip Jeeves, and a wonderful leaf from Holinshed's Chronicles of England with he's drawn, Sienna made a great Instagram video about it, which I'll put here, but an early reader has basically drawn Halley's Comet in the margin where he's talking about the death of Edward the Confessor and 1066. So I don't have the mental energy nor the mental maths ability to tot up what all that is in my head for today's sales, but I'll put that on the screen here now, and then that will update our overall figure. Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, and let me just get into the car as usual and ready to get off to the Oxford Book Fair. It is 9 a.m. and we have 4 orders that came in overnight that are really going to help our cause. So I want to actually remember what they are, so I'm just bringing them up on my computer here. So we have a lovely 2-volume edition of the works of Thomas Gray, a first edition of English and Medieval Studies presented to J.R.R. Tolkien. That's a really lovely Tolkien book, quite hard to find. A wonderful copy of the Bible with silver, or a sort of engraved piece of silver to the upper cover, and a first edition of Crossing the Water by Sylvia Plath, one of her posthumous volumes of poetry. And if we add all of those up, that adds £770 to our tally, which is really, really great news. Really helps our cause, of course. And now we can head to the book fair and see what we can add to that on this Sunday of the challenge. So that's a wrap on the Oxford Book Fair. I'm just walking back to my car so I can load the books into it, the books we didn't sell. But it was a good second day at the fair. 2 sales, I think, today that I haven't told you about. One of an Agatha Christie first edition at Bertram's Hotel, and the second one is a copy of Finn and Hengist by J.R.R. Tolkien, but a really important and interesting copy because it was owned and heavily annotated by Rona Bear, who was a correspondent of Tolkien, sent him some very famous letters about the Lord of the Rings, and was a great sort of a classicist and interrogator of Tolkien's work. So that's really, really special. Those two together came to £800, and we'll see what that does for the week's total. So the total for the week was £24,766, meaning we didn't even get halfway to where I wanted us to, which is a real shame because we have some lovely books that I thought could get us over the line. But not all hope is lost. We've got a big book fair in London coming up, First London. This fair is maybe one of the biggest risks we've ever taken in the business. So if you want to see how we got on there and whether that risk paid off, subscribe and watch out for my next video.